I'm Jonathan Zor, coming to you with another Virginia Center for Inclusive Communities Humanitarian Spotlight. Through the Humanitarian Spotlight series, I'm interviewing past VCIC Humanitarian Award recipients who are demonstrating important leadership in response to COVID-19. Today, I'm so honored to be joined by Mr. Steve Kast, a 2011 VCIC Humanitarian Award recipient from our Peninsula Chapter. Mr. Kast was named President and CEO of the United Way of the Virginia Peninsula in 2016, after 29 years leading the Boys and Girls Club of the Virginia Peninsula. He currently serves on the Board of Visitors at his alma mater, Christopher Newport University, as well as the Board of Peninsula Chamber of Commerce, and as a member of the Virginia Complete Count Commission. Mr. Kast was just recently named to the 2020 Power List by Inside Business. Steve, it's always great to be with you. Thanks for taking a few minutes to chat with me today.
Jonathan, it's great to be with you.
Thank you. The United Way always does important work in our communities, and I think folks sometimes only see that critical work in the midst of a crisis or a pandemic in this case. Can you talk about some of the ways that you and your team have sprung into action these last few months?
Well, I'm very proud of what we've been able to do by working with the local community, and we convened around this as soon as we got word that this was really spreading and going to have a major impact in our community. And we got our nonprofits together to find out how they were going to react, what capacity they had to react, and then we went into action by setting up an emergency fund so that those emerging needs that came from this pandemic could be addressed in the best and most efficient way possible.
It's really wonderful, and I know that resources are already getting out into the community to support nonprofits in doing that frontline work. You and the United Way have had a special focus the last few years on a population described by the abbreviation ALICE, and I know that population is extremely hard hit at a time like this. Can you describe what ALICE stands for our viewers and talk a little bit about what those individuals are experiencing right now?
Our United Way, through a needs assessment about 4 years ago, came to the conclusion that we needed to all rally together to try to lift up folks either out of poverty or out of ALICE. ALICE stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed Individuals. And these are people that you know and I know. We probably sit beside them in church. They might cut our hair. They might cut your hair. These are folks that are our cousins, our families. They're working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. And it's been very appropriate. We've been doing this work to lift these folks up. Before the pandemic, our results were, we were making incredible progress by moving folks out of poverty and out of ALICE. During the pandemic, we found that this was a very vulnerable population, the ALICE population. Those that are working 2 or 3 jobs were at risk of losing one of their jobs, 2 of their jobs, maybe a 3rd job, and then they were faced with trying to provide the basic needs for their family. And what we found out is about 60% of people that were going to local food pantries or seeking rental assistance had never sought or received those types of services before. So that shows you that population, it really rose to the top as who we really needed to double down on and make sure we kept them whole, because they will be going back to work.
Definitely. It's a population that, you know, it's sort of one car payment, one illness, things like that, away from having some stability to really being at risk. Can you talk about why you've been so committed to the Peninsula community, both in your tenure at the Boys and Girls Clubs and now with the United Way? Where does your passion come from?
Well, I find it rooted in my past and my childhood. Sometimes I have trouble talking about this, so you ask a very good question. I grew up in rural Virginia, in the Appalachian Mountains, and if you would look at a picture of poverty at that time, that was me and my family. And I've been afforded the opportunity in my life for people to rally behind me and to lift me up and to get an education and to work. And those folks at Boys and Girls Clubs, those young people, were me. I looked at them and I wanted to rally behind them. And then when I came to United Way, we did the needs assessment, and I didn't influence this needs assessment, but what came back is we needed to help those folks in poverty or in Alice. And so it's really personal to me. These are incredible people. They need just a little hand up to be able to help themselves. And then they become part of the community solution. And so it is very personal to me. And thank you for asking that question.
Absolutely. Well, I really think you're a role model to a lot of folks, myself included, for the way you've demonstrated a commitment to the community for so many years. For those who are watching this who want to get involved and make a difference, maybe follow your example, what advice do you have to them?
During the pandemic time, you know, it's been rather challenging to get involved. Just a lot of people like to do some hands-on volunteerism, and we really promote that. We've changed the way we do business with a lot of our partner agencies and the way things are distributed because of social distancing. But I've been telling people that the mental aspect of this social isolation, there are folks in their homes that maybe haven't had contact with someone for 2 or 3 days. In your sphere of influence, of those people you know, if you would take time to check on other folks to make sure that they're okay. And the real effects of this pandemic, Jonathan, are going to hit us in 3 to 9 months. The government, the corporate community, the nonprofit community has been able to stand people up at this point with some of the programs in place. Some of those are going to stop, and rent and utilities in 2 or 3 months is still going to be due, and we're all going to need to rally around. So I'm telling people, advocate for the population of folks that we need to advocate for, those that are Alice or are in poverty that need our help. Give $1, whatever you can give, a sacrificial gift, because we're going to need to be able to help these folks, your family, and those folks that you go to church with. And then volunteer to just be a good person, to be kind, and to reach out to people, and live united so we can all get through this, and then prepare ourselves to do the wonderful work of that we do in the community together. And I have to say that we have such an incredible giving community. We raised $1.5 million in a matter of just a couple of weeks to respond to this. So it was heartening.
Yeah, I think the spirit of generosity still shines through, and maybe is even most clear in the midst of a crisis. So there is some heartening news amidst a really tough time. Mr. Steve Kast, I'm so grateful to you for all that you do for the community and for taking a few minutes to chat with me today. I hope you stay safe and well.
And thank you for this opportunity.